Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inspiring Careers. My name's Dan Johnson, and I'm here today with my guest, Mr. Colin Vasey. Now, Colin is a specialist sales manager within diabetes and has won several impressive awards, both external and in-house as well. I've got some of these written down. Pharma Times Regional Business Manager of the Year 2015. He won silver for the same award in 2012. Gold for the same award in 2009, and he also won the award as well for the Pharma Times Sales Team of the Year as well. Good afternoon, Colin. How are you doing?
Hi, Dan. I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much.
What do you feel most passionate about in your role as a sales manager?
The thing that struck me first, right at the beginning, is how important people are. And so I did the usual thing. I was a representative for 3 years, did training for 3 years, and then landed my first regional business manager role. And it kind of dawned on me that the manager without his people is nothing. People can cope without the manager. Doesn't matter whether you're an account exec or a representative. Doesn't matter what the title is. But the manager is completely useless without his people. And then linked to that, my first role as a manager, I think I had 13 direct reports. I only got that job because somebody invested time and effort in me and ultimately some guidance. To be able to see people grow and develop, whether they want to be trainers or marketing or even regional business managers, so seeing people fulfill their potential is kind of really important. And to do all that, you've got to be successful in whatever the terms and the criteria that your organisation requires. Because without that, there's no good having people that build some careers. But it's about the people, I think. And then if I could extend it still with the people, it's the people you work with, your colleagues, and the people in the other parts of the organisation. So there's a sense of being as joined up as you possibly can to achieve some sort of common goal.
What is the toughest problem that you faced in your role, and how do you think that could be solved?
I think, the 25 years I've been in the industry has shrunk. And right now, we're trying to target our efforts as an industry in a key account fashion, and yet the bigger pharma struggles with being able to, on the one hand, give people accountability, support them, train them, and let them go, and on the other hand, wait and see what starts to come through. So you've got bigger territories, bigger regions, trying to pick the key people, and yet, at the same time, an organisation only knows how well it's progressing towards its expected outcomes by demanding KPIs. Where are we with our coverage and our frequency? And I think you've got to take a step back and really invest in your sales force, whether they're key account managers, whether they're representatives or specialists, whatever the title is. Give them the skills and actually the software as well, and train them. Allow them to go and do the work they're supposed to do. Monitor them, by all means. Track what's going on. Hold people to account, but don't interfere with them unless you need to revisit the plan. So you've either got to go with we're trusting you to be the account implementer. You do go with we're trusting you to be the account managers, or you go top down and you tell people exactly what you want to do. And I still think the pharma industry, on the one hand, is saying, we're going to give you accountability, and the other hand is saying, well, we'll give you accountability, but it needs to look like this, and this, and trying to meet in the middle, it doesn't work. And I can see as you go forward, it's going to be that same sort of pressure to produce the results with fewer and fewer resources. If you're doing that, you've got to have smarter, more capable people with the right tools to do the job, and that means the right information coming in as well.
If another sales manager came to you and said, look, how can I identify when something's not going right as soon as possible? How can I quickly identify that? What would you say to that sales manager? What advice would you give to them?
So I think you're back to what is it you're trying to achieve, and if you've got a team of people, then you need to have regular reviews with the team, proper structured business review meetings, but also you need to have the individual one-to-one meetings, and you have to observe your team in the field. Now, in some people's case, you might literally be telling them what a great job they're doing, but I think the role of the manager, it struck me 20 odd years ago, has got to be to make the smallest change for the biggest possible gain. So if you can see your people in front of your customers, if you can see the customer response, you know what's happening with that individual. Then you've got the team as well. You can track that whole progress. That gives you confidence, gives them reassurance as well that they're doing the right thing. But if there's an intervention that's required, you can do that early. So as a manager, I would say be honest, tell people when they're doing a good job, but if it's not what's required, then be honest about it and tell them how it needs to change. There'll only be a handful of reasons why people don't do the job they're supposed to. Sometimes it'll be because they don't know what they should do. Sometimes they won't know how to do it. And sometimes they won't know what the consequences are. The other thing is that if you want to find people doing things wrong, it's easy because everybody will be doing something wrong. My first boss when I became a trainer said, first day, you can catch people out all the time. And that's not what it's about. So our job, I think, is kind of operating within a framework, defining that framework clearly so everybody knows what it is. It's got to progress. And then the job of the manager is to support that individual, hopefully in that progression, and it becomes a partnership. But if for whatever reason it's not working, then there are only going to be a certain number of outcomes, and hopefully it's about getting the person to where they need to be for the organisation.
What has been your biggest career failure, and how did you come fighting back from that, and how did you overcome that failure?
I've been a manager for about 6-9 months, and the company I was working for was doing a switch program with a nurse going into the surgeries, and I wasn't completely convinced about the quality of the program, the justification of doing it, and that inevitably came over to my team. So 3 months in, we're at the bottom of all the tables and all the rankings, and we've got nothing going on. And my boss said, what's going on? And I had to take a look at myself. So my team wasn't doing what they should do, but that was my fault. So we kind of corrected it by sitting down, having all these conversations. Took 2 or 3 goes to do that. Certainly held my own hand up and said to them that I've not been clear enough about it, but I'm being clear now. This is what we're going to do. And we kind of knuckled down and turned it around. Our job isn't to question whether we're being asked to do something, whether it's right or wrong. And if it's gone through a training, a validation program, if it's been tested, if marketing want to do it, we know it's AVPI compliant. Our job is to go and do it to the best of our ability. We can question internally whether it's the right thing to do. But if my boss and head of marketing come back and say, no, this is why we're doing this particular intervention, and it's key to the success of the brand, then my job, their job, is to go and deliver on that to the best of our ability, not to kind of sit back on the sides and go, well, I'm not going to play.
What would you say then has been your eureka moment in your career? What's been the real kind of game changer?
Okay. I had just started as a trainer, and I went on a peak performance course. And on that peak performance course, I had Steve Backley, who went on to win a whole load of medals and records for the javelin. You might remember Steve Backley. Yep. And he was talking, he just smashed, I think, the world record as a junior, in effect, but the senior world record for javelin. And he went to the World Championships a few weeks later, and he completely bombed. He didn't even get to the final. And the whole thing was structured around, he felt fine, apart from the way he was in his head. His head just wasn't right. And it made me realize how you feel in your head absolutely affects your performance. And bizarrely enough, if you want to feel good, you can feel good by reaching into your memory and finding a time when you felt good. And when you talk to people and they start doing that, they start smiling, and as you just started smiling, they often look back, physically look up. You can see them starting to run it through in their head. So we can very quickly go from feeling angry, let down, I've had a bad call, to, well, let's think about the last good call I did. Let's start to think about how I can make this call really good. So the whole ability for the physicality affects the mental state affects the physicality was kind of a door that opened up, and I did my neuro-linguistic programming course as a result of that. It's just phenomenal, I think, as to how we feel affects our performance, and that's carried right the way through. I use it with my team, I use it with myself, and I've used it with my colleagues as well.
So for a salesperson, and for someone who is going to face kind of those rejections quite regularly, what other techniques could they use? Because everyone's read things like, it's about how you start your day. Everyone's kind of a lot more aware of how important mindset is. But is there any other sort of little bits of advice which you've seen can really change someone's attitude towards selling that day, or has kind of really changed someone's game entirely?
I think it's Stephen Covey talks about start with the end in mind. Have a real clear, almost tangible goal as to what do you want that call to look like? What do you want to achieve at the end of the call? What do you see yourself doing and saying and agreeing with the customer? Now, part of that is, I think, the planning that we talked about earlier, because you can then work out what the call structure should be. But just having that clear idea in your head seems to help you have a good outcome. And again, I've used that when I've been going up to have meetings with my team. What is it I'm trying to achieve in this call? How might I do it? But also, if you're going into the call that is really important, thinking about the last good call you did before you're going in, physically getting yourself in a good state, sitting up, looking as tall as you can, feeling good, and as you walk in, if you stand up straight with your shoulders back, you will perform better. One other thing that came to me from my early days as a representative, actually, is a sales guru called Richard Denny, and I heard him speak twice, and he said, ask the question you want to know the answer to. And it stuck with me. And how often as a representative do you sit there and think, oh, this customer's not doing what they want to? But we don't ask that question. So a question comes into your head. So you're using product X, and why do you use it? What is it you like about it? And why haven't you done what you said you were going to do last time I came to see you? And we kind of dance around those situations sometimes. We think, oh, I can't possibly answer that question. But we're often entitled to. And if we're genuinely seeking to understand what the customer is doing and why, and we want to move them, then we have to be prepared to answer that question. So ask the question that's in your head. Ask the question you want to know the answer to. I found really key to me opening up my own customers.
What's been your best or your most favourite career achievement?
I was thinking about this morning, and it was probably my first full year at Sanofi. So I'd spent my early part of my career at Wyeth, then became Pfizer, and then joined Sanofi. Sanofi, then I was a regional business manager. We sold cardiovascular products, diabetes products. I had new people, new geographies that I've not worked in. I've not worked in those therapy areas. And my first full year, actually about this time of year, I sat down with my team, and we had a 2-day business planning session. So we spent a day talking about what business planning is, and then a day the teams wrote their own business plans. It was something we didn't do back then. And we set ourselves a joint goal, and the joint goal was to be region of the year. And
Cool.
And we won. So that first week in January was set up, but it was about the skills of the teams. Working, I think we had eight guys in the team, and having a common goal helped. But helping them understand what it was they said they wanted to achieve, documenting it. We had, I think, we call them pocket meetings, where we met up every month to review the progress. And at the end of that year, we were region of the year, and I think we got to go off to Morocco for a long weekend the following year. And I think I'd probably pick that because that was a new team, new culture to me, new therapy areas, and it gave me sort of a good profile in those sort of important early days.
What is the final piece of advice that you would have for any sales manager who's watching this today that you really would like them to know, or you'd really like to pass on to them?
You've got to decide which sort of manager you are. Are you a people-focused manager, or are you a business-focused manager? Most people are one or the other, and if you're a people-focused person, that's great, but you've got to keep sight of the business. If you're the other way around, don't drive your business for the sake of overlooking your people. Get the balance right between the two.
Listen, Colin, this has been such a great interview. You've shared some brilliant advice, and I know everyone's watching is going to really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming on. Cool. Thank you so much for that. Colin, just one more thing I want to ask. If anyone has any questions, or if anyone wants to ask you about anything they've heard today, is it okay if they connect with you on LinkedIn and just drop you a message?
Yeah.
Is that absolutely fine?
Yeah, you find me on LinkedIn. Please connect with me, and if you put it in the note that you've seen me on YouTube doing the interview, that's great. Then I'll respond.
Brilliant. There you go. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ping them to me, but get in contact with Colin, connect with him, mention that you watched the video, and just ask him anything that you want to follow up that what you've heard today. For those who are watching, please do like, subscribe, share, tweet, do leave comments on the video, especially if you've got any questions. But Colin, thank you once again for being such a great guest on Inspiring Careers.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a real pleasure.
Brilliant. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.